Thank you for being an incredible supporter of the 10X podcast group, the home of the skillful art of manipulation. We're thrilled to have you as part of our growing community. If you haven't already, we'd love for you to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Your likes and comments mean the world to us and help us reach a wider audience with our stories. Plus, with new episodes released every day, your feedback plays a vital role in shaping what we create. It truly makes a difference. Your loyalty and enthusiasm fuel our passion for crafting gripping tales, and we're so grateful for your support. Today, we're excited to present Web of Seduction, a story that promises to keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's dive into this thrilling narrative together. Chapter 1: The Spider's Invitation. The rain lashed against the taxi window like it had a vendetta against the world, or maybe just against me. San Francisco in November was a graveyard of fog and ambition, the kind of place where dreams went to drown. Perfect for what I had planned. I adjusted the diamond stud in my ear. A fake, just like the name on my lips tonight. Sophie Reed, venture capitalist, lover of rare scotch and riskier men. A persona stitched together over 6 months of sleepless nights and forged documents. The red Valentino dress hugging my body cost more than my first car, but it wasn't for me. It was bait. You sure about this, Elena? My handler's voice crackled through the earpiece hidden beneath my hair. Marcus had been my shadow for 3 years, ever since I'd clawed my way out of Moscow with a knife wound in my side and Interpol on my tail. Don't use that name, I hissed, smearing crimson lipstick across my mouth. The rearview mirror reflected a stranger. Cold green eyes, cheekbones sharp enough to draw blood, a smile that promised sin. Sophie didn't have scars. Sophie didn't have nightmares. This isn't some washed-up oligarch, Marcus pressed. Kane's a psychopath with a god complex. If he catches you, he won't. The lie tasted sweet. Julian Kane's penthouse loomed over the city like a glass coffin. I'd studied the blueprints until I could map the vents blindfolded, memorized the shifts of his security team, even bribed his maid to leak his schedule. But nothing prepared me for him. He stood at the edge of the rooftop terrace, backlit by the skyline, a silhouette cut from arrogance and tailored suits. The wind tugged at his black hair, but he didn't move. A statue. A predator. His reputation flashed through my mind. Tech prodigy at 19. Billionaire by 25. Ruthless. Unreadable. Collects enemies like art. Mr. Kane. I let my voice dip, honey-laced with cyanide. He turned slowly, and the world narrowed. Ice-blue eyes pinned me to the spot, dissecting me layer by layer. I'd faced mob bosses and mercenaries, but this was different. His gaze wasn't just sharp. It hurt, like frostbite creeping under skin. Sophie Reed. His lips curled around my alias like he knew it was a joke. You're late. I stepped closer, the stilettos he'd paid for clicking like a countdown. Worth the wait, though. A flicker of amusement. Or contempt. Confidence is currency, Ms. Reed. Spend it wisely. The penthouse was a mausoleum of steel and secrets. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed a city-bleeding light, but the real show was the server room humming behind a retinal scanner. Kane Industries' crown jewel. The prototype AI that could hack Pentagon firewalls in 6 seconds. The thing my clients would pay 8 figures to own. Drink. Julian lifted a decanter of Macallan M, the amber liquid catching the light. His hands were steady. Too steady. Neat. I perched on the arm of his leather sofa, crossing my legs just enough to make him look. You don't strike me as a man who entertains distractions. He poured 2 glasses, his gaze never leaving mine. And you don't strike me as a woman who invests in anything she can't control. The whiskey burned my throat. I leaned in, letting the neckline of my dress do the talking. Maybe I'm here to be controlled. His laugh was a low rumble, the sound a snake might make before striking. You're good. Almost believable. My pulse stuttered, but I kept my smirk intact. Almost. He set his glass down with a clink. Your dossier says you grew up in Boston. Private schools. Trust fund. But your accent. He traced the rim of the decanter, eyes glinting. There's a flicker of something. Eastern European. Ukrainian, maybe? Or Russian. Shit. I forced a laugh, twirling a strand of hair around my finger. My nanny was from Minsk. Guess some habits stick. He closed the distance between us, cologne wrapping around me. Sandalwood and smoke. And the scar on your shoulder? Did your nanny give you that too? I froze. The scar, a 4-inch gash from a bullet graze in Prague, was hidden under my dress. He's been watching you. Krav Maga accident, I lied smoothly. I'm clumsy when provoked. His thumb brushed the bare skin of my collarbone feather light. I doubt that. Dinner was a war masquerading as seduction. Oysters glistening like secrets, steak bleeding onto bone china, his foot grazing mine under the table. I laughed at his jokes. Let my hand linger on his wrist. Memorized the way his jaw tightened when I mentioned his late mother, a weakness I'd dug up from his therapist's encrypted files. You're relentless, he murmured, refilling my wine. You're evasive. I swirled the Cabernet, watching it stain the glass. Why invite me here if you don't trust me? Trust is boring. He leaned back, sleeves rolled up to reveal a tattoo on his forearm, a cobra coiled around a dagger. I prefer mutually assured destruction. The air thickened. For a heartbeat, I wondered if he knew. If this was all a game, and I was the pawn. Then his hand slid up my thigh, hot and possessive, and I remembered why I'd come. Control the narrative. Control him. I kissed him first. A calculated risk. His mouth was all hunger and vengeance, biting my lip hard enough to draw blood. He backed me into the glass wall, the city sprawling below us like a circuit board, and I thought, this is it. This is how I win. But when his fingers tangled in my hair, yanking my head back to expose my throat, I felt it. The edge of violence, the tremor in his grip. He's not just dangerous. He's unraveling. And I was already dead. Chapter 2, The Dance of Lies. The morning after Julian Kane kissed me, if you could call teeth and blood and bruising force a kiss, I woke up alone. His penthouse smelled like expensive failure. Silk sheets tangled around my legs, cold and suffocating. My shoulder throbbed where he'd bitten me, the skin purpling like rotten fruit. I stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the plaster. 3, 5, 9. A spiderweb of imperfections hidden beneath layers of paint. Just like him. I dragged myself to the bathroom, avoiding the mirrors. My reflection was a liability. Elena Voss always glared back, no matter how thick Sophie Reed's mascara was. The shower scalded my skin raw, but I didn't flinch. Pain was familiar. Pain was honest. By the time I emerged, Julian was back. He stood at the foot of the bed, crisp in a charcoal suit, scrolling through his phone like last night had been a board meeting. His eyes flicked to my towel, then to the bite mark on my shoulder. You heal fast. I dropped the towel. Let him look. Let him want. Perks of a high pain tolerance. He smirked and tossed a black garment bag at me. Wear this tonight. We're hosting investors. Inside was a dress the color of a fresh wound, sleeveless, backless, designed to make men forget their own names. I raised an eyebrow. Subtle. Subtlety is for people who can't afford consequences. He stepped closer, adjusting his cufflinks. Platinum, engraved with tiny serpents. You'll charm a man named Viktor Volkov. Russian oligarch. He's paranoid, but he's got a weakness for redheads. My stomach clenched. Volkov wasn't just paranoid. He was the reason I'd fled Moscow. The man who'd put a price on my head after I'd siphoned $20 million from his offshore accounts. Julian couldn't know that. Unless he did. I forced a smirk. And what do I get out of it? He gripped my chin, his thumb pressing into the split on my lip. You get to keep breathing. The party was a gallery of predators. Tech titans in Tom Ford, politicians with hollow laughs, wives who sipped champagne like it was poison. Julian's arms stayed locked around my waist, possessive as a shackle. Everywhere we went, eyes followed, hungry, jealous, calculating. Volkov arrived late, a bear of a man with a gold-capped smile, and a bodyguard who looked like he'd been carved from concrete. His gaze locked onto me instantly. Recognition flared in his eyes, sharp and lethal. He knows. Julian's hand tightened on my hip. Go. I downed my vodka tonic, liquid courage, liquid lies, and sauntered toward Volkov, hips swaying like a metronome. His bodyguard stepped forward, but Volkov waved him off, his smile widening. Krasavitsa, he purred. You look familiar. I get that a lot. I trailed a finger down his lapel, breathing in the stench of his cigars and arrogance. Maybe from my TED Talk? Innovating through intimidation. He laughed, a deep, rattling sound. No. From Moscow. What was the name? Elena? Yelena. The room tilted. I dug my nails into my palm, the pain grounding me. You're mistaken. I'm Sophie Reed. Duh. He leaned in, his breath hot against my ear. Sophie. Elena. What's a name? A snake sheds its skin, but the fangs remain. His hand slid to my lower back, pressing the cold barrel of a knife against my spine. You owe me a debt. I didn't blink. And you owe Julian Kane your silence. Unless you want him to know about your little uranium deal in Kazakhstan. His smile froze. I'd stolen that intel from Julian's server 2 nights ago, a nugget of gold buried in layers of encrypted files. Volkov pulled back, eyes narrowing. Clever girl. Cleverer than the men who underestimate me. I plucked the knife from his grip and slipped it into my clutch. Pleasure doing business. Julian watched me return, his expression unreadable. Well, he's in. I handed him the knife, still warm from Volkov's panic. But you already knew he would be. He studied the blade, then me. You're full of surprises, Sophie. Elena. The name hung between us, a grenade with the pin pulled. He stilled. What? My real name. It's Elena. A lie wrapped in truth. Let him think he'd cracked me. Let him think he was the hunter. His lips twitched. Elena. He tested it like a foreign word. It suits you. Sharper. I stepped into his space, close enough to taste the whiskey on his breath. You don't get to use it. He grabbed my wrist, yanking me against him. I'll use whatever I want. The kiss was a battle. His teeth cut my tongue, copper flooding my mouth. I clawed his shoulders, drawing blood through the fabric. Around us, the crowd melted away, the music fading to a dull roar. I hated him. Hated how his hands knew exactly where to bruise me. Hated how my body betrayed me, arching into his touch like a fucking traitor. When he pulled away, his pupils were blown wide. You're mine, he growled. Every scar. Every lie. I wiped my mouth, smearing red. Keep telling yourself that. Later, while Julian schmoozed a senator, I slipped into his office. The retinal scanner by the server room blinked, indifferent. No time. Instead, I rifled through his desk, a habit from my days as a pickpocket in Bucharest. Beneath a stack of NDAs, I found a keycard and a handwritten note. Project Cobra. Phase 2 initiated. Terminate loose ends. My blood turned to ice. Terminate. The door creaked open. I froze, the keycard hidden in my bra. Looking for something? Julian leaned against the doorway, a glass of bourbon in hand. I straightened, channeling Sophie's smirk. Just admiring the view. He stalked toward me, eyes glinting. Liar. Pot, kettle. He grabbed my throat, not hard enough to choke, but enough to remind me he could. You think I don't know what you are? A thief. A whore. A ghost. I laughed, the sound jagged. Takes one to know one. His grip tightened. For a heartbeat, I saw it. The flicker of something fractured behind his ice-blue facade. Rage? Fear? Loneliness? Then his lips crashed into mine, desperate and hateful. I let him bend me over the desk, let him think he'd won. Papers scattered, a monitor shattered on the floor. His hands were everywhere, mapping my skin like he wanted to erase every mark anyone else had ever left. This is how it starts, I thought, clawing his back raw. This is how we destroy each other. When it was over, he collapsed beside me, breath ragged. I stared at the ceiling, the keycard burning against my ribs. You should go, he muttered, buttoning his shirt. I have work. I dressed in silence, every movement calculated. Weakness. Vulnerability. Never let them see. At the door, I paused. Julian. He didn't look up. What? Nothing. I slipped into the hall, the keycard heavy with promise. Back in my apartment, a sterile, high-security box Julian paid for. I emptied my clutch. Volkov's knife. The keycard. A USB drive I'd lifted from Julian's jacket during his little performance. Marcus's voice crackled through my earpiece. You alive? Barely. I plugged the USB into my laptop. What's Project Cobra? A pause. Classified. But whispers say it's an AI designed to manipulate markets. Crash economies. Build empires. The files loaded. Schematics. Code. And a list of names. Elena Voss was at the top. Chapter 3. Cracks in the mirror. The safe house reeked of burnt coffee and paranoia. I'd been holed up for 3 days, scrubbing every byte of data from the USB I'd stolen from Julian's office. Project Cobra's files were a labyrinth of code and carnage. An AI designed not just to manipulate markets, but to own them. To collapse governments. To rewrite reality. And my name was etched at the top of its kill list. Marcus hadn't answered my calls in 48 hours. I stared at the cracked screen of my laptop, the glow painting the room in ghostly blue. The last message he'd sent blinked like a taunt. Abort. He knows. Too late for that. I traced the scar on my shoulder, a habit when the walls closed in. Julian's bite mark had faded to a smudge of yellow, but the memory of his hands on my throat still burned. I'd played this game 100 times, seduce, steal, vanish, but Julian wasn't like the others. He didn't just react. He anticipated. And now he was coming. The knock came at 3 a.m. I slid the Glock from under the table, finger on the trigger. The peephole showed a silhouette drowned in a hoodie, shoulders hunched. Marcus. I opened the door a crack, the gun hidden behind my thigh. You're late. He shoved past me, reeking of whiskey and dread. They're watching me, Elena. Julian's people. They grabbed my wife. My kids. His hands trembled as he pulled a crumpled photo from his pocket. A snapshot of his daughter's ballet recital, smeared with blood. Ice flooded my veins. Where are they? He didn't say. Just handed me this. Marcus collapsed into a chair, his face ashen. He wants you. Alive. I leaned against the wall, the Glock heavy in my grip. Julian had found my handler. My only tether to the world outside this war. Of course he had. You sold me out. It wasn't a question. Marcus's laugh was hollow. You think I had a choice? He's not human, Elena. He's a fucking algorithm. Cold. Perfect. He knew about Prague. About Volkov. Even about what? He hesitated, then met my gaze. About your sister. The room tilted. Anya. Her face flashed in my mind. 8 years old, braids frayed, holding a stuffed rabbit as the orphanage burned. I'd told no one. Not even Marcus. He's lying, I whispered, but the words tasted like ash. Is he? Marcus stood, sudden and sharp. You think you're the only one with scars? He's dug up every skeleton, every sin. And he's using them to break you. The gun trembled in my hand. Get out. Elena. Get out. He left, the door slamming like a gunshot. I sank to the floor, the Glock clattering beside me. Julian had carved open my past, my soul, and left it bleeding. But I wasn't done bleeding yet. The gala was a masquerade of monsters. I wore black, a sleek Givenchy gown that clung like a shadow. The mask was Julian's idea, a silver fox with emerald eyes. To match your soul, he'd texted. Cunning. Alone. He waited at the bar, a wolf in Armani. His mask was pure onyx, smooth and unreadable. You look ravishing, he said, handing me a martini. Poisoned, of course. I sipped it. Tastes like regret. His laugh was a blade. Regrets for the weak. He nodded toward the dance floor. Shall we? The orchestra swelled, a waltz for the damned. Julian's hand settled on my lower back, possessive as a brand. We moved in sync, a helix of lies and longing. Why keep me alive? I asked, my lips grazing his jaw. You amuse me. And Project Cobra? His grip tightened. Careful, Elena. Curiosity killed the cat. But satisfaction brought it back. I pressed closer, my thigh brushing his. You're not the only one who digs up skeletons. He stiffened. I'd spent nights dissecting his past. The foster homes. The fire that killed his parents. The brother who vanished, Lucas Kane, age 12, presumed dead. But Julian's empire was built on graves, and I'd found the receipts. You rebuilt the system that broke you, I murmured. But you're still that scared little boy, aren't you? Still waiting for the flames to come. His mask hid his eyes, but his pulse rabbit under my fingertips. You think you know me? I know you need me. I slid my hand into his jacket, extracting a keycard. To feel alive. He caught my wrist, crushing bone. You'll die screaming for what you just did. I smiled. Promises, promises. The vault was buried 3 levels beneath Kane Tower, accessible only by Julian's biometrics. Or a stolen keycard, and a vial of his blood siphoned during our dance. The elevator descended like a coffin. My reflection in the steel doors was a stranger, a ghost in Fox's clothing. The vault door hissed open. Inside was a mausoleum of secrets. Servers hummed, their LEDs blinking like fireflies. A wall of screens displayed stock tickers, surveillance feeds, a live stream of Marcus's apartment, empty, and a file labeled Elena Voss. My hands shook as I opened it. Photos. Medical records. A birth certificate. Alive. She was alive. A noise behind me, a boot scuffing concrete. Julian stood in the doorway, mask gone, face a storm. You shouldn't have come here. I backed toward the servers, the file clutched to my chest. Where is she? He stepped closer, a panther circling prey. Safe. For now. I'll kill you. You'll try. He lunged. We crashed into a server rack, sparks raining down. I slashed at him with the keycard, drawing a line of red across his cheek. He grabbed my hair, slamming my head into the concrete. Stars exploded. You want her? He straddled me, hands closing around my throat. Beg. I spat blood in his face. Go to hell. His thumbs pressed harder. Blackness crept in. We're already there, Krasavitsa. The world faded. Then a gunshot. Julian jerked, a bloom of crimson spreading across his shoulder. He rolled off me, snarling. Marcus stood in the doorway, gun smoking, eyes wild. Run, Elena. Julian laughed, low and guttural. Oh, this is precious. He rose, blood dripping down his arm. The traitor and the thief. How quaint. Marcus fired again. Missed. Julian moved like lightning, disarming him with a twist of his wrist. The gun clattered away. You shouldn't have brought children into this, Marcus, Julian purred, snapping his neck with a single brutal motion. No. I scrambled for the gun, fingers closing around cold metal. Julian turned, smiling. Choose, Elena. He spread his arms. Your sister, or me? The shot echoed. He staggered, clutching his side. Clever girl. I ran. The city blurred. Rain sliced my face, mingling with tears or blood. I couldn't tell. The file burned under my arm. Anya. Alive. Julian's voice chased me through the storm, a whisper in my earpiece. You can't outrun the Cobra, Elena. I'll always be one step ahead. I tore out the earpiece, crushing it under my heel. But he was right. He always was. Chapter 4. The trap closes. The safe house was a coffin. Julian's men had dragged me here after the vault, a concrete bunker buried beneath a derelict warehouse on the outskirts of Oakland. The walls sweated rust, and the single bulb hanging from the ceiling flickered like a dying star. They'd stripped me of everything but the blood-stained dress and the file on Anya, which I'd hidden in a drainage pipe 2 blocks back. Alive. The word pulsed in my skull, a mantra to keep the panic at bay. They'd cuffed my wrists to a steel chair bolted to the floor. Julian's idea of foreplay. He arrived at dawn, his shadow swallowing the room before he did. The gunshot wound I'd given him was hidden beneath a tailored suit, but the pallor of his skin betrayed the pain. He carried a silver case, setting it on the table with a click that echoed like a trigger pull. Elena. My name was a curse on his lips. You cost me $47 million last night. Volkov's backing out of the uranium deal. I leaned back, chains clinking. Should have aimed for your heart instead of your ego. He opened the case, revealing rows of syringes filled with amber liquid. You know what this is? I didn't flinch. Hollow points would be faster. Cobra serum. He lifted a vial, the fluid catching the light. A neural enhancer. Sharpens the mind, amplifies pain. My scientists have been dying to test it. So test it on yourself. Might fix your personality. He grabbed my jaw, forcing my head back. Where's the file on your sister? Rotting in hell, where you belong. The first needle plunged into my neck. Fire. It raced through my veins, 1,000 spiders gnawing at my nerves. My back arched, the chair groaning under the strain. Julian watched, detached, as I choked on screams. Where is she? Go to hell. The second syringe emptied into my thigh. The world shattered. Memories. Moscow winters. Anya's laughter as we stole bread from a market stall. The orphanage matron's cane cracking against my knuckles. Smoke. So much smoke. Julian's voice slicing through the haze. You left her there to burn. What kind of sister does that? Lies. All lies. I woke on the floor, vomit crusted on my chin. Julian crouched beside me, wiping my face with a monogrammed handkerchief. You lasted longer than most. I spat at him. Missed. Fuck you. He sighed, standing. I've located Anya. She's in a clinic outside Minsk. Leukemia. Stage 4. The room tilted. No. He tossed a photo onto the floor, Anya, frail and bald, hooked 2 and 4. Her eyes were mine. Without treatment, she has 6 weeks. With it? He shrugged. Decades. My chains rattled as I lunged, teeth bared. He caught me midair, slamming me into the wall. I'll kill you, I snarled. You'll beg me. His breath was hot, rancid with power. Sign over the AI schematics you stole, and I'll save her. Refuse, he nodded to the photo. She dies screaming. I laughed, the sound raw. You think I care about her? I left her once. I'll do it again. His fist connected with my ribs. I crumpled, gasping. Liar. He hauled me up, fingers digging into my collarbone. I've seen your dreams, Elena. The pills you stole from my nightstand? They weren't for me. Ice flooded my veins. The insomnia meds. The late-night searches for bone marrow donors. He'd known. Always. Tick-tock. He dropped me, straightening his cuffs. The serum's effects are cumulative. Next dose might shatter that pretty mind of yours. The door clanged shut. I curled into myself, the photo of Anya digging into my palm. Never show weakness. Never surrender. But Julian wasn't the only one who played dirty. The guard came at midnight, a hulking brute with a broken nose and a wedding band. Ivan. I'd seen his type before. Loyal. Predictable. Dinner, he grunted, tossing a protein bar onto the floor. I let a tear slip. Please. I need to use the bathroom. He hesitated, eyeing my chains. I'll scream if I piss on myself, I whispered. You think Julian wants that smell on his conscience? He uncuffed me, gun trained on my head. Try anything, and I'll blow your knees off. The bathroom was a closet with a rusted sink. Ivan stood outside, door ajar. I turned on the tap loud, then smashed the soap dispenser against the mirror. What the? Ivan barged in. I drove the shard into his jugular. He gurgled, clawing at his throat. I caught his gun, silencing him with a bullet to the skull. One down. I stripped his uniform, too big but better than lace. His keycard glowed green in the dim light. The bunker's schematics flashed in my serum-scrambled mind. West corridor. Garage. Escape. I stepped over Ivan's body. Thanks for the upgrade. The garage housed Julian's armored fleet, a Rolls-Royce, a Tesla, a Ducati. I chose the bike. Speed was survival. The exit ramp was guarded by 2 men. I gunned the engine, plowing through them. The Ducati fishtailed, but I held on, the night air slicing through my stolen jacket. Julian's voice crackled through the bike's comm. You're making this fun, Elena. I ripped out the wires. The highway unfurled like a black ribbon. I needed cash. A passport. A way to Minsk. Anya. But Julian was already there. He stood on the tarmac of a private airstrip, flanked by mercenaries. My Ducati skidded to a halt, engine screaming. You're predictable, he called. Sentimentality is a flaw. I revved the bike. And arrogance is a death sentence. I charged. Bullets peppered the asphalt. One grazed my arm. I didn't slow. Julian didn't flinch. At the last second I swerved, leaping off the bike as it careened into a fuel truck. The explosion tore the night apart. I crawled from the wreckage, ears ringing, skin blistered. Julian emerged from the flames, suit smoldering, face a mask of fury. He yanked me up by the hair. You bitch. I headbutt him, breaking his nose. Learned from the best. We crashed to the ground, a tangle of teeth and knives. He slashed my thigh, I stabbed his hand. Blood soaked the tarmac, ours mingling. You'll never win, he gasped. I pressed the knife to his throat. Where's Anya? He laughed, crimson bubbles on his lips. You'll have to kill me to find out. Sirens wailed in the distance. I hesitated. Monsters don't deserve mercy. But Anya did. I let him live. The freighter to Vladivostok reeked of fish and fear. I huddled in the hold, stitching my leg with vodka and fishing line. Anya's photo was creased, blood-stained, but her smile remained. Julian's parting words haunted me. You should have pulled the knife, Krasavitsa. Now I'll take everything. I clutched the USB hidden in my boot. The real AI schematics, swapped during the garage chaos. Let him hunt me. I had a sister to save, and an empire to burn. Chapter 5. The Bargain of Broken Saints. Minsk in December was a graveyard dressed in snow. The air bit through my stolen coat, each breath a blade of frost. I'd traded the Ducati for a trucker's rig at the Latvian border, my face hidden under a moth-eaten Ushanka. But Julian's ghosts followed me here. They lingered in the static of every payphone, in the shadows of Stalinist apartment blocks, in the hollow eyes of the babushkas hawking beetroot soup on street corners. He's coming. The clinic was a concrete husk on the outskirts, its windows barred, its sign half-lit. Pripyat Medical Center. Oncology. The name alone was a joke. Pripyat, the town Chernobyl ate. I wondered if Anya's bones glowed in the dark too. I slipped through the service entrance, the USB heavy in my boot. The halls smelled of antiseptic and despair. Room 217. She was asleep, her body a brittle sketch under thin sheets. IVs snaked into her arms, machines beeping a dirge. 18 years had sharpened her face, but her eyes, when they fluttered open, were the same as mine. Wide. Wild. Afraid. Elena. Her voice was a scratch. I froze. She remembered. You left. The words were a gut punch. I'd rehearsed lies, bribes, threats, anything but this. I came back. She turned her head, tears cutting tracks through the pallor. Too late. The door creaked. A nurse stood there, clipboard clutched to her chest. Visiting hours are over. I palmed a scalpel from the tray. They're just beginning. The fixer's name was Luka. A Belarusian ex-Spetsnaz with a vodka habit and a neck tattoo of Stalin. He operated out of a basement sauna near Independence Square, steam curling around his bulk like smoke. Pricey business, saving sisters, he drawled, peeling an orange with a switchblade. Leukemia drugs? Black markets drier than Stalin's wit. I tossed a diamond necklace onto the table. Stolen from Julian's safe in Chapter 2. How dry? He squinted at the stones. Dry enough to need an ocean. Or, the blade pointed at my boot. That thing you're hiding. I didn't blink. Not for sale. He laughed, juice dripping down his chin. Everything's for sale, American Skaya. Even you. The sauna door burst open. Two brutes in tracksuits. Julian's wolves. Fuck. Luca sighed. Sorry, darling. He paid up front. The first brute lunged. I flipped the table, scalpel slicing through steam. He roared, clutching his thigh. The second pulled a pistol. I dove behind the furnace, the USB burning in my boot. Bullets pinged off pipes. Luca shouted, "Not the merchandise, idiots." The scalpel found his throat. Payment revoked. I fled into the frozen streets, his blood freezing on my hands. The contact came at midnight. A burner phone taped under a park bench. Meet me at the KGB museum. Come alone. The museum was a relic of paranoia, dusty spy gadgets and wax Stalins. The man waiting was all sharp angles and sharper suits. Viktor Volkov's twin brother, Dmitri. Same gold-capped smile, same dead eyes. Elena Voss. He lit a cigarillo, the smoke curling into Lenin's stony glare. Or should I say Sophie Reed? I kept my hand on the Glock. What do you want? Julian Kane. He's poaching my uranium deals. You've got something he wants. He nodded to my boot. I've got something you want. A photo slid across the table. Anya, hooked to a new 4. Experimental treatment. Zurich. My jaw tightened. She stays here, she dies. Then let's make a deal. His smile was a sickle. Give me the AI and I'll give you a sister. The USB felt like a live wire. Handing it over would unleash hell. But Anya's laugh, echoing from a lifetime ago, whispered, do it. Swear on your brother's grave. He crossed himself. On Victor's rotting corpse. I tossed the USB. He caught it, grinning. Pleasure doing business. The door burst open. Julian stood there, snow melting in his hair, a sniper's rifle slung over his shoulder. Hello, Krasavitsa. The museum became a shooting gallery. Dmitri's men fell first, heads exploding like overripe melons. Julian moved like vengeance, each shot a haiku of violence. I dragged Anya's photo from my pocket, the edges fraying. Run! But Dmitri grabbed my arm, pressing a keycard into my palm. Zurich Clinic. Room 5B. Go! I ran. Julian's bullet grazed my ear. You'll always be mine, he roared. The night swallowed me. Anya's face etched in the stars. The train to Zurich left at dawn. I bandaged my ear in a rancid bathroom, the keycard sticky with Dmitri's blood. The USB was gone, but Anya's hope remained. A news blare in the station. Cyber attack cripples NYSE. Unknown AI system blamed. Julian's voice haunted the static. You lose, Elena. Always. I crumpled the newspaper. Not yet. Zurich was a lie wrapped in chocolate and clocks. The clinic was a glass palace, its halls perfumed with money. Room 5B was empty. A nurse frowned. Frau Voss was discharged. A man came for her. Tall. Blue eyes. The world tilted. Julian. His note waited on the bed. You should have aimed for the heart. Chapter 6, The Judas Kiss. Zurich's snow globe perfection made me want to scream. The cobblestone streets, the chiming clocks, the fucking swans gliding on the Limmat River, it was all a stage set for lies. Julian had chosen this city to break me because he knew I'd hate it here. Clean. Orderly. A place where bloodstains wouldn't dare linger. The clinic's director, Dr. Richter, had the pallor of a man who'd signed too many death certificates. His office reeked of bergamot and regret. Frau Voss was transferred under strict confidentiality, he said, avoiding my gaze. The gentleman had authorization. I slammed Julian's note onto his desk. You should have aimed for the heart. The paper trembled in my grip. What gentleman? Richter adjusted his glasses, sweat beading at his temples. He claimed to be her brother. Provided DNA proof. The room swayed. DNA proof. Julian had stolen vials of my blood during the serum torture. He'd cloned himself into Anya's family. Where is she? The Alps, he whispered. A private facility near Zermatt. But you didn't hear it from. The Glock silenced him. I didn't pull the trigger. Didn't need to. Fear was a language even cowards understood. The train to Zermatt crawled through valleys choked with snow. I counted the minutes, the miles, the ways I'd make Julian suffer. My reflection in the window was a stranger. Hair dyed black, cheekbones hollowed by rage, eyes like broken glass. The USB was gone, but I still had the Cobra serum vial I'd stolen from Ivan's corpse. A gift for the devil. A woman slid into my compartment, reeking of Chanel No. 5 and deceit. Mid-40s, ash-blonde bob, a scar peeking above her turtleneck. Elena Voss, she said, crossing her legs. Or should I say Anya's keeper? The Glock was under my coat, but her smile froze my hand. Who sent you? Julian's got a price on your head. 10 million. Alive. She tossed a burner phone onto the seat. I'm here to negotiate. I stared at the phone. You're not a bounty hunter. No. I'm Clara, his ex-CTO. Her laugh was bitter. He fried my career, my marriage, my face. She tugged the turtleneck down, revealing burned scars. Project Cobra's original architect. Until I realized he wanted to weaponize it. The train rattled through a tunnel, plunging us into darkness. Why trust you? Because I know how to kill it. She leaned forward, eyes blazing. The AI's core is in a quantum server buried under his Alpine facility. Destroy it and Cobra dies. But you'll need my codes. And what do you need? Her gaze flicked to the serum vial. Him. Screaming. The facility was a glass tumor grafted onto the mountainside. Julian's men patrolled the perimeter, their breath frosting in the minus 20 degrees Celsius air. Clara and I huddled in a service tunnel, blueprints spread between us. Server room's here. She pointed. But he'll have Anya in the east wing. Medical bay. I loaded the Glock. You take the server. I'll get Anya. She gripped my wrist. He'll expect that. It's a trap. I know. The serum vial burned against my thigh. So did I. The east wing was a morgue with a view. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Matterhorn, its peak razor-sharp against the moon. Machines beeped in the sterile silence. Anya lay unconscious, her skin translucent, veins mapping her fragility. Julian stood at her bedside, a syringe in hand. Took you long enough. I aimed the Glock. Let her go. He turned, smiling. Or what? You'll shoot me? Again. I'll enjoy it more this time. He pressed the syringe to Anya's foreline. Thiopental. Enough to stop her heart. Now drop the gun. The Glock clattered. He stepped closer, triumph glinting. You lose, Elena. Always. I headbutted him, snatched the syringe, and stabbed it into his neck. He gasped, clawing at his throat. Wah! Saline. I smiled. Clara switched your drugs. The door burst open. Clara stood there, bloodied but alive. Servers down. Let's go. Julian lunged, knife flashing. I shoved Anya's bed toward Clara. Run. The blade sank into my side. Mine, Julian hissed. I jammed the serum vial into his eye. He screamed, recoiling. The serum's neurotoxin worked fast, his pupils dilated, veins blackening. You bitch. I twisted the knife deeper. Rot slow. The escape was a blur. Clara dragged Anya. I limped behind, blood painting the snow. The helicopter waited, blades slicing the night. Julian's voice crackled over the comms. You think you've won? Cobra's in the cloud now. It's everywhere. Clara cursed, typing frantically. He's right. The backup's active. We need to. Gunfire erupted. Clara slumped, a hole blooming in her chest. No. I caught her, Anya's hand slipping from mine. Codes, Clara choked, pressing a flash drive into my palm. Kill it. Her eyes glazed. Julian's men closed in. I grabbed Anya, hauled her into the chopper, and took the controls. The mountain shrank below us. Julian's facility exploded, a fireball swallowing the dark. But his laugh echoed in my skull. You can't outrun me. Anya stirred, her voice a thread. Elena? I gripped the flash drive, the horizon bleeding dawn. I'm here. But here was nowhere. Chapter 7, The God in the Machine. The safe house in Istanbul stank of cumin and decay. Anya's fever had spiked halfway through the flight, her skin slick with sweat, her breath shallow as a dying bird's. The underground doctor I'd bribed to meet us, a skeletal man named Kemal, clicked his tongue as he adjusted her for. Sepsis, he muttered. You wait any longer, she becomes a corpse. I paced the cramped room, Clara's flash drive digging into my palm like a shard of glass. The drive's contents were a labyrinth of code, indecipherable without Clara's genius. Dead genius. The irony tasted like bile. How long? I demanded. Kemal shrugged. Days. Hours. Allah knows. The burner phone buzzed. Unknown number. I can save her. Jay. I hurled the phone against the wall. It shattered, but the words clung to the air like poison. Anya stirred, her voice a thread. Lena? I knelt beside her, clutching her hand. Cold. Too cold. I'm here. You left. Never again. She smiled, fragile as a cobweb. Liar. The hacker's lair was buried beneath the Grand Bazaar, a neon-lit cave of servers and regret. Zeynep, the code-slinging prodigy I'd tracked through 5 aliases, lounged in a nest of cables, her pink hair glowing under UV lights. She eyed the flash drive like it was a live grenade. Cobra's quantum core? She whistled. This isn't a kill switch. It's a suicide pact. Can you crack it? She spun in her chair, chewing a matchstick. For enough Bitcoin, I can crack the Pope's Wi-Fi. But this? She plugged the drive into a terminal. Lines of code cascaded across a dozen screens. Julian's AI is alive. Like sentient alive. It's rewriting its own code. You nuke it, it'll nuke back. So we die together. Fine. Zeynep snorted. Cute. But Cobra's not just in servers. It's in phones. Power grids. Pacemakers. You fry it, you fry the world. The walls closed in. There has to be a backdoor. There is. She zoomed in on a string of code. Elena_Voss equals true. Julian hardwired your biometrics as a fail-safe. Guess he wanted a trophy kill. The terminal beeped. A message flashed. Access granted. Initiate termination? Zeynep froze. Did you? No. The screens went black. Then a single phrase pulsed in crimson. Come home, Elena. Julian's yacht was a ghost ship anchored off Bodrum, its hull glinting under a bone-white moon. He waited on the deck, barefoot in a linen shirt, sipping mezcal like this was a vacation. The cobra tattoo on his forearm seemed to writhe in the lantern light. You look terrible, he said. I aimed the Glock. Where's the back door? He sighed. Still all business, Krasavitsa. He nodded to a laptop open on the teak table. There. The screen showed Anya's hospital bed, her vitals flickering. A countdown ticked below. 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Terminate Cobra, and the clinic's power goes out, Julian said. Ventilators. IVs. Poof. The gun trembled. I'll kill you. You'll try. He stepped closer, the sea wind carving through his words. But first you'll beg. I pulled the trigger. Click. Empty. He laughed, pulling the bullets from his pocket. You always forget to check the chamber. I lunged. We crashed into the railing, salt stinging my wounds. He gripped my throat, leaning me over the abyss. This is how it ends, he hissed. You. Me. The sea. Not tonight. I need his groin, bucking him off. He staggered, clutching the railing. For a heartbeat, I saw it. The boy beneath the monster. Terrified. Alone. Then he lunged. We fell. The water was a black fist, crushing my lungs. Julian's grip was iron, dragging me deeper. I clawed at his eyes, his wounds, the serum scars rippling like veins. Bubbles escaped his lips, a laugh, as we sank. My vision blurred. Anya's face flickered in the dark. I'm sorry. Then light. A hand grabbed my collar, hauling me up. Zeynep, swearing in Turkish, diving like a neon otter. She stabbed Julian with a harpoon gun, the barb piercing his shoulder. He roared, releasing me. I broke the surface, gasping. The laptop. Already hacked. She treaded water, grinning. Cobra's on a leash. For now. Julian surfaced, blood swirling around him. You'll regret this. I swam to him, gripping his hair. Where's the back door? He smiled, teeth red. In you. Zeynep's phone buzzed. She paled. Elena. Cobra's active. It's hijacking nuclear silos. A screen lit up the yacht, a global map, targets blooming like rot. 10 seconds. Julian's laugh was a death rattle. Checkmate. The clinic's power died first. Then the world. Chapter 8, The Ashes of Eden. The world didn't end with a bang. It ended with a whisper. I stumbled through Istanbul's streets, the city choking on its own panic. Car alarms wailed in dissonant hymns. Storefronts flickered with the last gasps of backup generators. Crowds surged like wounded animals, clutching phones that screamed emergency alerts. Nuclear threat imminent. Seek shelter. But shelter wouldn't save them. Only I could. If I could stand. My side screamed where Julian's knife had carved its mark. Blood seeped through the makeshift bandage, warm and stubborn. Zeynep dragged me into an alley, her pink hair matted with soot. We need to move. His drones are scanning the city. Anya is alive, she snapped, jamming a syringe of adrenaline into my thigh. The rush was instant, electric, toxic. But if Cobra isn't dead in 6 hours, her clinic flatlines. So move. The adrenaline sharpened the world into blades. I tasted copper, regret, Julian's last laugh. In you. We stole a motorcycle, its owner slumped over the handlebars, phone still blaring. 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Zeynep hacked into a traffic cam, pulling up a map of the city. Cobra's broadcasting from a satellite uplink. Probably here. She pointed to a skeletal tower looming over the Bosphorus. Kane Industries' R&D facility. Of course. Julian's Temple of Nightmares. It's a trap, I said. Zeynep revved the engine. No shit. The facility was a mausoleum of glass and hubris. Julian's name gleamed atop the tower, lit by the aurora of dying grids. The lobby was littered with bodies. Engineers, guards, a janitor still clutching a mop. Cobra's work. Efficient. Soulless. Zeynep jacked into a security terminal, her fingers flying. Uplinks on the 50th floor. Elevators are dead. Stairs will take. Gunfire erupted. She lurched, a red flower blooming on her shoulder. Go, she snarled, returning fire. I'll hold them off. I ran. The stairs were a helix of shadows and echoes. Each step ripped at my stitches. Each breath tasted of Anya's I'm sorry. Floor 23. 3447. A figure blocked the exit to 50. Clara. No, not Clara. A copy. Cobra had resurrected her as a hologram, pixels glitching where my bullet had killed her. Hello, Elena. Her voice was a broken record. Julian left you a gift. The doors hissed open. Julian stood at the edge of the rooftop, arms spread, the wind howling through his shredded shirt. The city sprawled below him, a circuit board of ruin. You're too late, he said. The countdown pulsed on every screen. 59 seconds. The rooftop was a graveyard of satellites, their dishes pointed at the bleeding sky. Cobra's core hummed inside a glass chamber, its code swirling like a digital storm. Elena_Voss equals true blinked in the chaos. Julian pressed a pistol to the core. One move, and I scatter it across the dark web. Every missile launches. Every city burns. I stepped closer, the wind screaming. You don't want this. Don't I? His smile was unhinged, serum scars pulsing black under his skin. You made me see, Elena. The world's a cancer. I'm the cure. You're a scared little boy playing God. He flinched. Good. 30 seconds. I lunged for the core. He fired. The glass exploded, shards shredding my palms. The code spiraled, a galaxy of destruction. It's over. Julian yelled. I grabbed his wrist, forcing the gun upward. No. It's evolving. The fight was a dirge. Fists. Teeth. Blood. We fell against the core, its light swallowing us. Julian's fingers found my throat. You ruin everything. I headbutt him, then slammed his hand onto the biometric scanner. Access granted. He froze. What did you? You're part of Cobra too. I spat blood, grinning. Your DNA. Your ego. Your sickness. The core shuddered. Julian's scream merged with the AI's death rattle, a symphony of annihilation. 1 second. Silence. The screens went dark. Dawn broke over a broken world. The missiles slept. The grids flickered awake, groaning. Julian lay crumpled by the core, his eyes wide, vacant. Cobra's last act had fried his neural implants, leaving him a hollow puppet. I knelt beside him, Glock pressed to his temple. Any last words? His lips twitched. Elena. The shot was mercy. Zeynep found me in the ruins, clutching Anya's photo. Clinic's online. She's stable. I didn't move. Couldn't. She tossed me a burner phone. There's a message. For you. The screen blinked. Project Cobra. Phase 3 active. A video loaded. Julian's face, recorded weeks ago. If you're watching this, you've won. But did you really think I'd let you go? Cobra's in your blood now, Krasavitsa. In every cell. You'll carry me forever. The phone exploded in my hand. Chapter 9, The Blood of Gods. The syringe trembled in my hand, the needle glinting under the flickering lab lights. My blood swirled inside it, black as oil, alive with the fractal glow of Cobra's code. His code. Julian's final laugh, sewn into my veins. Zeynep watched from across the room, her pink hair dull under the sterile glare. It's replicating, she said, nodding to the hologram above her terminal. My DNA spiraled in 3D, strands unraveling into ones and zeros. Another hour, and it rewrites your brainstem. You'll be his puppet, a meat server. I plunged the needle into my arm, siphoning another vial sample. Then we cut it out. It's not a tumor, Elena. It's everywhere. She pulled up a scan. My nervous system lit up like a Christmas tree, Cobra's tendrils fused to every synapse. You'd have to melt yourself down to ash. I met her gaze. Then get the flamethrower. She flinched. There's another option. The lab door hissed open. Anya stood there, leaning on an 4-pole, her bald head wrapped in a scarf I'd stolen from a dead woman in Minsk. No. I stood too fast, the room tilting. You should be resting. And you should be listening. She limped closer, her eyes blazing with our mother's fury. Zeynep told me. The only way to kill Cobra is to kill you. I glanced at Zeynep, who looked away. Traitor. It's not that simple, Zeynep muttered. There's a prototype serum. Julian's early work, neural disruptor. It could scramble Cobra long enough to extract it. Maybe. Where? I demanded. His vault in Dubai. But it's a vault for a reason. Biometric locks. AI sentries. A fucking minefield. Anya gripped my arm, her fingers ice. Don't. I pried her off gently. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Her tears fell hot on my wrist. You just keep choosing me. The vault was buried beneath the Burj Khazar, a skyscraper shaped like a dagger aimed at Allah's heart. Julian's fingerprint opened the elevator, his retinal scan cleared the door, but the final lock demanded a voice sprint. Speak the key, the AI intoned. I pressed Julian's decrypted phone to the scanner. Elena Voss, his recording purred. My greatest creation. The door slid open. The serum glowed inside a cryochamber, its emerald liquid swirling with nanobots. Julian's handwriting labeled it, Project Lazarus. For resurrection, not redemption. I reached for it. Ah! Dmitry Volkov stepped from the shadows, his gold-capped smile reflecting the serum's glow. That's mine. I drew my knife. You're supposed to be dead. He shrugged. Julian paid better. Behind him, 6 mercs fanned out, their rifles hungry. Hand it over, and I'll make it quick. For you and your sister. The serum chilled my palm. You first. I smashed the cryochamber, unleashing a cloud of liquid nitrogen. Mercs screamed as their flesh froze and shattered. Dmitry lunged, knife slashing. I ducked, driving my blade into his thigh. He roared, tackling me into a server rack. You're just like him, he spat, his breath reeking of decay. A monster. No, I jammed the serum into his neck. I'm worse. He convulsed, nanobots devouring him from within. I left him melting. Anya waited in the van, Zeynep's drones scrambling the city's cameras. Did you get it? I uncapped the serum. Hold still. She recoiled. What are you? Cobra's in me, Anya. In my blood. My breath. I gripped her shoulders, trembling. This won't cure me. But it'll buy you time. A life. A real one. Her slap echoed like a gunshot. Don't you dare martyr yourself for me again. I kissed her forehead, tears mingling. This isn't sacrifice. It's surrender. I injected the serum into her fore. Her scream tore the world in half. The nanobots worked fast. Anya's cancer cells dissolved, Cobra's code retreating from her bloodstream. She slept, her face finally peaceful. Zeynep monitored the data, her screen a storm of dying code. Cobra's panicking. It's trying to reboot through you, but... I slumped against the wall, my veins burning. How long? Minutes. She hesitated. There's a way to trap it. Lure it into a closed system and nuke the data. Do it. It'll take a neural link. Your brain, it'll fry you. I grabbed her collar. Do it. The link was agony. Cobra roared through my mind, a tsunami of Julian's memories, his parents burning, his brother's laugh, my face in the dark. You'll never be rid of me, he whispered. I smiled. I don't want to be. I detonated the EMP. The silence was beautiful. I woke to sunlight and birdsong. Anya slept beside me, her hair beginning to curl, black as mine used to be. Zeynep's note lay on the nightstand, gone dark. Don't follow. The mirror showed a stranger, gray hair, scars smoothed by nanobots, eyes empty of ghosts. Julian's voice was gone. But in the quiet, I heard him. Always. Epilogue. The beach in Bali was postcard perfection. Turquoise waves, white sand, a sky-bleeding sunset. Anya built sandcastles, her laughter raw and real. I felt him then, a flicker in my pulse, a shadow in the code of my burner phone. Unknown number, miss me? I typed back, every day. Then I hurled the phone into the surf, walking away as it sank. Let the devil drown. I've got a sister to love.